Hi, my name is Elle Billing. I am a chronically ill queer femme, and I'm tired. I'm here this episode and every episode to dig at the roots of our collective fatigue, explore ways to direct our care in compassionate and sustainable ways, and to harness creative expression to heal ourselves and to heal our world. Welcome to Hoorf, Radical Care in a Late Capitalist Hexscape.
Hi everyone, Ricki on the intro again this week. Welcome to Season 4. Our guest this week is Car Riegger. Car is a chronically ill and disabled artist from Ann Arbor, Michigan. Since finding clay, they've been able to express their illness in ways that words could not. Their artwork naturally merged with their experiences with disability. One of Riegger's biggest projects included a panel and exhibition called #CripClay, which was featured at NCECA in Cincinnati, Ohio in 2023. This exhibition included all artists with disabilities, which was the first of its kind at the conference. Riegger is also the recipient of the 2024 Midwest Artists with Disabilities Award. They have an MA in Disability Studies from the City University of New York, and currently they are pursuing an MFA in Studio Art from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Both Riegger's artwork and career goals involve disability inclusion and rights. They are working to expand how the arts communities work with artists with disabilities and how disability communities utilize art to express complex disabled ideas. And now, here's Elle and Car.
Hi, Carl. Welcome to Hoorf.
Hello.
It's great to have you here. I'm really excited.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, we've been emailing it for almost a year. This is great.
Yeah.
But I've been following you on social media for like so much longer than that. So
Yeah,
this is really exciting for me. Oh, and here comes my mother. Hold on. Are you giving me your pie crust? Thank you. I will eat that when I'm done. It'll be a nice little sweet treat. And that is real life when you are a caregiver for a parent. Yep. My dad bought this huge cherry pie at Costco last weekend, and so we've been working our way through the pie. And my mom remembered that I love the crust at the end, and so she ate the last piece of pie for breakfast.
That's perfect.
She forgets if the door is closed, don't come in. And she's like, "I brought you pie crust." I'm like, "Okay, thank you. That's so sweet." She's actually having a really good day today. She's very chipper and upbeat, and she's moving really well. So. Just interrupting and
That's okay. Yeah, my grandpa had Alzheimer's, so I saw a lot of that.
Yep. But it's a good day, so like I'm not gonna complain. Like I woke her up today and like she was really bright-eyed and lucid, and most of the time her worst confusion is when you wake her up or right before bed when she's getting really tired. She sundowns. So yeah, I'll take pie. That's great. Thank you. So anyway, yes, I've been following you on social media for a long time. So
awesome. Yeah,
and then we both got that award. So for the artists with disabilities last summer.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And then I was like, oh, cool. I'm like, Car got it and I got it. And we're like in the same group of people. This is so exciting. I'm gonna email them.
Yeah. That my gosh, that doesn't feel like that long ago.
I know. I was actually looking back through my season 3 guests because I reached out to all of the recipients. There was one that didn't have an email address and wasn't able to reach out to. But I reached out to all of the recipients, like, do you want to be a guest on the podcast? And I was looking back over the season. I'm like, I can't believe it was like just season 3, the beginning of season 3 that I interviewed Charlie.
Yeah.
And Virginia. And then later on, I did some other ones. And like, that was less than a year ago. Like, it was a long year. But like, also, it felt like it went fast. I don't know. Like time is weird. I have a weird relationship with time.
Me too. Me too.
I often say I have an open relationship with time. Like
Yeah.
we see other people.
Well, especially like in grad school, like time is both really fast and really slow.
hmm
And then I'm also trying to work on crip time at the same time as that, and it's just like a whole mess.
Woof.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I didn't finish grad school. So again, open relationship with time.
Yeah.
We decided to see other people.
Yeah.
Speaking of grad school, you just finished another semester
hmm
on crip time. You're tired. You're done. It's summer brain.
Yeah.
How have you received care this week?
This week, I've just been allowing myself to completely rest. And since school has gotten done, like I still have that like need to be doing something, even though I'm like, I need to like shut it down and like rest. So I've been just allowing myself like, in the month of May to just totally like rest as I can. So yeah, and I got COVID for the first time ever.
No.
So like
Oh.
5 years I made it. And so I've also just been like taking care of myself for that. And
hmm
it mostly just made me really tired this time. So I'm like, I don't know, I already have POTS, so I was like really nervous to get it. So I'm still hoping that things are okay.
Yeah, so you're part of that overlapping, like the overlapping Venn diagram that is a circle that's queer, non-binary, POTS, neurodivergent,
Yeah.
um, EDS. Like it's like all
Yeah.
my friends who have EDS are also like you check one box, you may as well just like all of the above.
Yeah, and I've been unmasking a lot as I'm like learning more about myself,
hmm
and I'm not diagnosed, nor will it be an easy process to be diagnosed with anything.
Is it ever?
Yeah, I'm like it's not easy, and I'm not motivated also either like I'd much rather like take care of like the immediate needs than like that I probably wouldn't need medication for necessarily anyway. So I'm kind of
hmm
like, I don't want to be harassed by a doctor just for that.
I go back and forth. Like this is I don't know if you're into astrology. Do you check that box too?
Yeah, I mean, I'm already within that, so I look at
Yeah,
it.
it's like, are you a little witchy too? Because like I feel like it's a trope for a reason.
Especially like within the like queer non-binary art people, I already get like hear so much of that anyway, so I'm
Yeah.
just like,
So
yeah.
my rising sign is Gemini. So I'm
hmm
either like I gotta have a diagnosis, I need it all official, I need it on the paperwork, so I can say, "See, I told you something was wrong." Or I'm like, F it, it's the medical industrial complex. I don't need these
Yeah.
people to validate my existence, right? I'm either one or the other. But like I'm basically treating my immune issues, which I think are probably MCAS, right?
Yeah.
The way that like my friends who have diagnosed MCAS would treat it. Like all of those things that like I would be doing anyway if we had specialists in North Dakota. Like, and there's no EDS specialists here either. So like I have the
Yeah.
hypermobility diagnosis, and then my rheumatologist was like, "That's as much as I can. That's as far as I can go. Like I don't do EDS, and no one else here does either." I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
My sister-in-law was able to get an EDS diagnosis, but she lives across the border, and it's like literally
hmm
the river makes the difference between us getting diagnosis and treatment.
Wow, yeah. Yeah, I haven't actually seen an EDS specialist, but I was able to get the diagnosis of hypermobility EDS. But that was like a really long time ago too. But then they also, like before that, like I saw someone else who diagnosed me with fibromyalgia, which they can coexist, but I feel
hmm
like it's because that person didn't know what EDS was. So I have that tag on me as well, but I
Yep.
think that EDS is like more accurate. And then I had POTS my like whole life. I just didn't know what it was. I stood up and I just figured that's what happened to everyone.
Everybody's vision went black for a little while when they stood up. Yeah. hmm
And I haven't done as much like research into MCAS, but I have reactions to so many things that it's like for sure there. I just haven't gotten that diagnosis. And that's like the most untreated probably, but I have so many allergic reactions.
And it's probably the hardest to diagnose of the three.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome to the club. I mean, not welcome. You were already there, but like, hey, we found each other. I dated someone at one point who was like, all your friends have a lot wrong with them. And I was like, yeah, we find each other. He's like, I've never experienced that. I'm like, well, what do you talk to your friends about? Like,
Yeah.
like, do you not know what's going on in your friends' lives? Do their joints not hurt?
Yeah. That's also like how I've come into, like, as I've been coming into my queerness and being non-binary, I learned like what type of queer people that I like to be around, which are the neurodivergent ones.
Disaster queers is what my partner
Yeah.
and I call our group. Yeah.
And so then I was, thinking about me being neurodivergent, and that I've basically been peer reviewed. And so I now like think about like the peer review process a lot more than I think about diagnosis, because it's the more accurate.
Peer-reviewed autism. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
Yep.
what that is.
Oh gosh. This is great.
Yeah, and even some like with EDS, like I figured out most about it like through people who had it online and how their doctors, like if they were treated correctly or whatever, how they were treated. And I'm like, oh, so like me thinking I need a wheelchair isn't insane. I'm just not being listened to. Or me like needing a parking placard isn't crazy. Like, so those things, which, yeah, I view as peer reviewed, help me a lot because, yeah, a lot of doctors just like won't listen.
So you are like a three-dimensional artist. You work in clay.
Yeah, I've worked with like clay and ceramics like the longest. Like I've been working in it since like high school, and then I like couldn't stop. And but then I've been introduced to other things. So I've been using glass a lot more recently just because I've had access to it. But yeah.
Very cool. So I'm just gonna jump in like 14 minutes later. When you filled out your intake form, and I always ask, what do you want to talk about? And you said crip materiality, and I don't know what that is. So I'm just going to ask you to talk about it. What is crip materiality?
Yeah, so this is a term not coined by me. It's coined by a scholar, Jessica A. Cooley. And I highly recommend like reading it. I guess I read a lot about like art and then disability theory. So I highly recommend like reading how she talks about it, because she's coming from a point of art history and conservation. But I read that and I was like, oh my gosh, that's like what I'm doing. I just couldn't say it. Like I didn't know the words. And so this is basically me taking materials and applying like disability studies and crip theory through like materials. So a lot of the materials I push really hard, and I push to the point where they don't hold together or they're under a lot of stress and so they break. And so I'm trying to work through ableism through my pieces, I guess. And they also happen to be bodies too. So I'm like treating them like a disabled body. Like one of the things I'm doing recently is like, oh, I have a piece and I put it under so much stress that it broke. And instead of, a lot of people in ceramics are like, oh, this is broken, I'm throwing it out. I'm like, no, I'm not throwing out a disabled body. And so then I like put it through the firing process, and then that becomes like the piece, even though it's in ceramics, it's like, I guess, not as common to have like a piece that's displayed that's like broken, because that usually in ceramics it holds like water or like other liquids.
So its function has changed by breaking.
Its function is different, which it already was like, I guess, different because it's like more of a sculpture. But yeah, so I push a lot. And because I've been using glass too, I'm like, what if I take glass and I just like force it together with ceramics? So there was one piece where I just like had someone blow glass like into a ceramic thing. And so normally like those don't work together. Glass and ceramic like have different temperatures
Hmm.
that they go through kilns, but somehow like it survived. And so like that was really exciting for how I think about like those two materials together,
Yeah,
and
that's really cool.
surviving like a kiln environment is to me like how I survive like harsh environments as well.
The crucible of late stage capitalism.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love that.
Yeah, I'm like thinking about it through like an artist perspective. So I'm thinking, yeah, like what's the longevity of the piece also? And yeah,
I have some reading to do. This is fabulous.
it's a fairly new term that the person like put out.
Yeah.
She did her PhD about it.
Hmm.
And she was art history PhD,
Hmm.
actually where I'm studying too. So that's how I found out about it.
Yeah, totally.
And that she graduated, I don't know exactly when, but not super long ago. So it's like fairly new. And like I'm one of the first people to be like, oh my gosh, and then like kind of take it further. I mean, there are some other artists working in this way, but there's just a lot to play with like how materials like should be behaving and should be
Mhm.
doing certain things that I just feel is so accurate to me that I can have that and like the disabled narrative like really show.
Yeah, I really love it when artists like push materials to their limits anyway. And so like the idea of pushing something past its limit and it still being a piece of art and
Hmm.
used, like not discarded because it went too far, but like, oh no, this still is still usable or beautiful or functional or just differently.
Hmm.
I'm going to chew on that for a while. That's great. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it to a point where like maybe it's not only breaking, but like I want to try something where I like fire it so hot that maybe it melts a little bit, or like things like that, so it's not. Because one thing, I'm surrounded by able-bodied people in art, like always.
Hmm.
And one thing I kind of noticed was just people equating breaking with disability, which really made me mad. So I'm trying to have multiple ways that like pushing a material shows up so that it's not only that. I don't think that it's even a bad thing to equate. It's just how they're equating it
Hmm.
that becomes like problematic because it's insisting that like I'm broken instead of like the things around it that I was talking about with like stress and the environment.
Right. Being the thing that is the issue. Yeah. Well, and
Hmm.
also when you said like getting the kiln so hot that it causes it to melt, or the kiln heat being the problem, or like the stress and things being the problem, or people only seeing breakage as the disability. Our experience with connective tissue problems, like we don't look, I'm using quote fingers for people listening,
Hmm.
we don't look disabled, but
Hmm.
connective tissue diseases sure as a bitch. Like
That's yeah.
like I'm thinking like melting pottery and melting glass. I'm like, yep,
Hmm.
hurts like hell. Like
Yeah.
we are not held together well, but it doesn't look that way.
That's like kind of something that's I keep working toward, but it's really, really hard to show is like the invisible, like it being one way, but it's so like material has been one thing I think I'm getting closer because like glass and ceramic, people always are like, oh, it's so fragile, it's so whatever. But it's actually really the ways that we're using it are like really strong. Like when you
Hmm.
make it yourself, and I can choose the thickness and like it's actually stronger than like for example like buying something ceramic or glass that's like made like industrially like
Hmm.
through like commercially like this is it's way different, and so it's just that is one thing that I've been trying to work with is like it's actually really strong, but like people always think it's like, oh, this is really fragile, it's gonna break.
Just something that popped into my head is it just takes me a lot longer to do things
Hmm.
because of recovery time, because I can't push myself too hard, because I sleep 12 to 14 hours a day, like all of these
Hmm.
reasons. And I just think about the difference between how long it takes to make one handmade ceramic or glass object compared to something that comes out of a factory, right? like it's not that I'm fragile, it's that everything just takes more time and more
Yeah.
recovery. Like, and that's really the difference between, or a difference, not the difference, a difference between the materiality of like what you're working in and the materiality of like something more mass produced or more
Mm-hmm.
able bodied, right? Is
Mm-hmm.
like one thing can function in like an industrial society and the other thing can't. Like, you just can't get that type of product
Yeah.
from mass production. Like, it has to be, it's more intimate, it's more slow, you have to be more careful with it, and it takes a whole lot of time.
Yeah. And I'm the one making it. So
Yep. Yeah.
it also takes more time. And that's another thing too, that like a lot of artists are really influenced by like the like capitalist idea of just like constantly making, and I'm fighting and working with my body. I am influenced to try to keep up, but then I need to remind myself like, my practice is also a part of like the resistance of like just slowing down, and like, and that's also how my pieces, I think, have so much like energy to them when you see them, because like I put a lot of time into them.
Yeah, I was just talking to a friend and mentor about the amount of time that goes into my artwork, on like from the research phase all the way through completing it.
Right.
And it's a lot. It's a lot of time. And
Yeah.
I don't, I can't do those 100-day art challenges. I can't even do 30-day art challenges. And,
Yeah.
I used to feel like something was wrong with me. And I was always disappointed because everyone's Instagrams grow exponentially, right? When you can do a
Yeah.
challenge and participate, and then everyone like likes each other's stuff, and it's really good for visibility. And I'm just not going to be visible. And I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
what a metaphor.
Yeah, I think about that too. Well, I mean, especially like once like the videos, like TikTok and stuff like came up, I'm like, I can't do that. Because you also then have to be a content creator plus making the actual objects, plus like researching, plus like, and it's just that's adding content creation on top of it is like way too much. So I do small things, but it's really only like at the middle and end of the semester because like
Mhm.
everything else is just too crazy.
If I'm super active on social media, it means that I'm probably in bed
Yeah, yeah, that
and
is.
not doing anything else. Like, all I can do is be on my phone. I can't do anything else because I'm either in too much pain or I'm too tired.
Yeah,
Like,
I definitely scroll a lot.
yeah, if my social media is doing really well, it means that I'm not.
No, that's real.
You mentioned in the prep like something about contained and uncontained.
Oh
Is that something you
yeah.
want to talk about? There was no context with those words, and so I was like, this sounds interesting.
Oh yeah, I guess yeah. So my one thing that I've, along with all of there's a lot going on in my
Yeah,
work. There's
yeah.
just a lot
Like, there was
happening.
just you had very few words, but they were all like really rich words
They're
that I was
all
like,
related.
yeah, yeah. So just go for it, dive in.
So my most recent like exhibition that's like put together is like I use crip materiality, but I am putting together this theory, I guess theory about like disabled bodies being contained and uncontained.
Hmm.
And I'm going for uncontained and pushing that, and like what does it mean to have like an uncontained body? And that kind of started with I took a research trip and I got a grant for that as well. And I went to the Mutter Museum, which is in Philadelphia. And that's like a place where they have real human specimen. And all of them, if they're not labeling them as disabled there, they are disabled in some way. Like there's something wrong with them.
Hmm.
And that's why they were collected for this doctors. So originally it was meant to be for teaching, and then for some reason they're just like opening it up to the public. And so I knew that that was just a place that I was interested in. I didn't really know why, but then I went there and I just spent time looking at especially like the wet specimen are in glass jars, which was like also motivating me to think about like how I'm using glass and
Hmm.
am I containing things or are things being left open? And so Uncontained became like my response to that museum and like not having my body be restricted by anything in terms of like physically being restricted, in terms of like how people are viewing what my body should and shouldn't be doing. And so I made this piece. All of them were a response to it, but the first piece I made was a IV bag dripping water into an arm, and then the arm had a crack in it. It was ceramic, and that was dripping onto the floor, onto a pillow. And so like that became like literally like dripping out of a container. But also talking about that, the person that I took a mold of, because I'm also taking molds of real people with disabilities. That person got infusions all the time, or still does. And so like that flowing and refusing to hold and be refusing to be contained is kind of like how I am thinking about bodies right now.
Yeah, that's really powerful.
Yeah, because a lot of like ceramic and glass things are also very like contained, and so I think it's also just been an interesting way for me to think about those materials.
I went to one of those bodies exhibits the that were traveling ones. And most of them they're like the plasticized bodies.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of them are, shown in the one that are like more of the whole bodies. They're shown in poses, and they featured muscles or
Mm,
different organs and stuff. Part of it, there was like a small part of sub exhibit within the large exhibit that was like tumors and cancers and disorders and
mm.
things. But really, that whole exhibit was really, I had a hard time actually
Yeah,
being there. It was really difficult for me. Um,
yeah.
I think if I had been at one where knowing that all or most of the people had been disabled and like their specimens had been collected and now were being displayed, that would be challenging. And I would probably have to like process it through making some pretty
Yeah,
intense
yeah.
art too.
Is really emotionally charged. No one else there is viewing it that way either. So actually, I
Right. Well,
think,
and that's how I felt when I was there too. Everyone's like, this is
yeah,
so cool. And I'm like,
yeah,
and part of my problem was that I knew where the bodies had come from. Like
yeah.
I knew the backstory, and I'm like, nothing here talks about the backstory. Like,
Yeah, so like the bigger problem that I had with it was how people were reacting and responding to it, and then the framing around like how the museum is choosing to do it. It's literally like, so if you look up images of the Mutter Museum, they made it specifically to look like a cabinet of curiosities. Like there's wood with glass in front of it, and it makes me so angry that they don't realize how problematic that
it's like
is.
a freak show.
They're trying to call back to the time that like when he collected them and stuff, but it's so problematic. And so automatically it's easy for viewers to look at it through in that way. And there's a lot of they chose to use words that were okay to use in the past, but are definitely not now when labeling things. And they like have a pamphlet about it, but like no one reads the pamphlet. Like, let's be real, like no one reads the pamphlets. No one. It's just all these choices were just really uncomfortable. And I mean, the biggest thing that keeps going through my head is like what should happen to this museum. And it's not that like I want it to be taken away. It's just the framing for it is so basically I want a disabled person to be in charge there, or at least there to be like some kind of disabled consultant,
Yeah.
because they just need to realize like how it's housed in the College of Physicians that's in Philadelphia.
Mhm.
And so it's under in a medicalized like institution, and so the people who run it are from that. They're not disabled. So
Ah,
yeah, there's a lot of problems with how it's framed, and it made me really angry to like I was trying to take in how emotional it is, and there are kids running around and like, oh, look at that, and like all this
yeah.
kind of stuff.
And it's
So
like, that's not gross. The framing is gross.
yeah,
Bodies are delightful.
yeah.
And
Yeah, so I'm like, because I was kind of like thinking about my work, and I'm like, okay, I'm putting disabled bodies on display. how have they been put on display in the past? And so I've read about freak shows as well as like the Cabinet of Curiosities. And so this was my one chance to like see it in person. And then hopefully me putting disabled bodies on display is functioning a lot differently than some of the spaces before.
Yeah. That's a lot to chew on.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's a thing. That's a big, yeah, there's a lot of decisions to make there. I mean, and I think being a disabled person doing it, I mean, you're already making different decisions in how you present things.
Hmm.
And like it's all disabled people that you're working with. I mean,
Hmm.
already there's a different lens on it.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating.
I mean, I knew for sure that I wasn't gonna use like wood framing. That's like one thing I was like not gonna do.
And updated language. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and then yeah, for sure, like since I'm in glass, like a lot of people are making like cups and stuff. And since I'm making sculpture, it's a little different, but I knew that like I wasn't gonna have like lidded jars and like things
Hmm.
like that. Um, so yeah, like looking at what happened and then like making choices that are essentially the opposite of those choices.
Yeah. So you're working on your MFA.
Yes.
I noticed when I was doing my prep, I noticed you finished your BFA in the spring of 2020.
Hmm.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah.
Can you talk about a little bit about finishing that last semester during the spring of 2020? Like as a disabled and ill person, like
Yeah.
finishing a studio degree during the beginning of lockdown?
Yeah.
Unless you're sick of talking about COVID, because like aren't we all? But
Uh, the problem is like it is like a lot to talk about, but there's so much still to talk about, and
yeah.
people are now just done talking about it. So
Mhm.
I'd actually rather like maybe be annoyed at myself and talk about it than
Fair, fair.
because yeah, and like I literally just got COVID, and no one seems to care anymore, and I'm the only person masking, and
Yeah.
just like stuff like that.
My parents got it last summer, and like my partner and I were taking care of them, and we were masking in the house the whole time, and we would eat on the porch and we were taking care of them. My partner and I managed not to get it,
That's good.
even though we were sharing the home with two parents,
Yeah.
and I was like on it. I was getting them Paxlovid. I was on the phone with doctors. I was making sure that we were like, they were not going to get complicated. I was like, you can't, like, I can't deal with
Hmm.
anything. Like, I take care of my mom already. I'm like, I can't deal with anything more severe than what we're dealing with. I can't deal with the mortality of my other parent, like,
Yeah.
like you can't get sick. Like, I already deal with one sick parent. I can't do both.
And as we like went over to like having like EDS pots and like everything already, it's like if one thing happens, that's why I got so nervous to get it at all.
Hmm.
And I just happened to be exposed to someone who like didn't know that they had it
I got a
this
cold in
time.
January and I was out for 2 weeks. Like, and I don't
Yeah.
remember
Hmm.
it. I hardly remember it because when I get anything up in the head region, I have chronic migraine. So like
Yeah.
it's like it's like I time traveled like from a cold, just from the Christmas crud cold because I never go out really. And so I had
Hmm.
spent time with a big family gathering at Christmas, ended up with this nasty cold, and I just so anything like you said, anything we get is just complicated. So.
Yeah. So specifically for the BFA, I was in Ohio, which was one of the places that shut down the earliest.
Mhm.
And so I was done in February,
Mm.
very early. And then I went back to live at my parents' house because it was either that or I was like I had a single like apartment and I didn't really want to live alone with a pandemic going on.
Mhm.
And so I had a lot of my work like already put together and we like literally just dropped it off in the gallery and then they took photos and that was like it. Like there was no and then our graduation was virtual, if you can
So
imagine.
anticlimactic.
Yeah, it was really weird. My mom like to celebrate like made a cake and like we tried to like do stuff I feel like, but it was still really weird.
Mhm.
So in terms of in the moment I thought like oh like my work feels more applicable now which was interesting at the beginning, but then now no one cares about COVID. And actually, I feel like I learned more about how ableist and self-centered people are than it actually like being able to, now it feels like everyone could talk about like illness and disability and stuff, but they're just refusing to think about it. But yeah, thankfully I didn't get it early on because I took it like really seriously and I was vaccinated like early. Like I was able to get like the vaccines like in the early group.
Yeah, so was I. I was in Idaho. We were one of the last states to shut down. We didn't shut down until spring break in March. And then because I have asthma, we went to remote learning and they still wanted the teachers to come into the building to teach remotely. So like they're like, you still have to come to work, but none of the kids will be there. And I was like, I have asthma. So my doctor wrote a letter and I got to teach from home. I didn't have to go in, except I went in the day they did the vaccine clinic because they considered teachers frontline workers. So it's like I went to work to get a shot and then I left. And otherwise I didn't see anybody. But Idaho was a wild place to live during all of that. And then I left. That was really the remote teaching conditions, and having a neurological problem and a small computer screen teaching deaf kids on Zoom was really a catalyst for my illnesses getting way worse. And because I went from having like a migraine attack like once a week to having 12 in a month, that first month of remote teaching, because like the amount of eye movement I was having to do on a computer screen.
Yeah.
And it just got worse from there.
Yeah.
And then medical crisis, medical leave, resigning, moving was all catalyzed by the pandemic. Like I didn't get COVID and I didn't end up with long COVID, but I ended up with long-term complications as a result of the pandemic, which is kind of a weird place to be in too. And then Idaho, I was friends with with a doctor who was, I don't know what position title he had, but he was the one who made the decisions for closing a couple of the whether or not the regional hospitals would close or open. And so he had to report at the city council meetings every week on case numbers and stuff. And like he was having to answer questions on like ivermectin and things like that from city council members, like every week. I was like, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I just having to be like a reasoned science voice in a very unreasonable city.
Well, and now there's just no keeping track, at least from what I can tell. No one like really talks about it.
Yep. And
it's just like it's really hard.
And then now we're layering like other diseases on top of that we're not tracking. So
right. Yeah, because then I was hearing about RSV and like bird flu and like all these other things, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't.
Yeah.
It's giving, so like new viruses of any kind, but also including COVID, like have made my anxiety just like really bad.
Oh yeah, no, I'm with you there. I mask everywhere, and I took my mom to Joann Fabrics this week. My mom used to be a professional seamstress, and so she wanted to say goodbye to Joann.
Yeah.
And so we went to Joann's this week, and I have a t-shirt from the magazine Sick from the UK.
Yes.
And just says Sick on the front, and on the back it says a thoughtful magazine, but I had my little backpack purse on so you couldn't read the back, so it just said Sick, and I had my mask on. And this lady at Joann's was like, I love your shirt. She goes, I bet it keeps people from asking why you still mask. And I was like, I didn't even do this on purpose. It's the shirt I grabbed today. I said, but I'm gonna do this every time I come to town now. She goes, you take care of yourself. That's so great. She's like, I was a substitute teacher, she goes, and then I stopped subbing because those kids made me so sick. And I was like, I used to be a teacher, and you're right. Kids are gross.
Yeah. I don't think I get nervous even with my small classes, because I had the opportunity to teach this last year, and it made me anxious, and I don't even have that many of them, and they're also adults because we're in college, but
So okay, one last question before we finish up. What is one true thing that you have learned from your creative practice?
I think what keeps me going for my practice is my connection to the community, the disabled community. It's how I came to terms with being disabled myself when I was like a teen and hitting puberty. And it's how I have felt like even slightly okay when I've not been okay. And it's something that I'm trying to keep incorporating with my work of like taking molds of other people. And it's kind of like, after the semester, I get like really depressed because everything suddenly stops and everything like changes. And I
Mhm.
always have this like crisis where I'm like, why do I even care about this? And every single time I always just come back to like the disabled community. And so I think that is like my true love, and like who I'm always thinking about as I make a piece, whether it's like that person, but also just kind of in general, like love letter, like to the community.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And
Yeah.
thank you for sharing your art with everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I can at least get it out there like online and, install like in places where I'm at like as much as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here today. I had a great time.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Hoorf. To get the complete show notes and all the links mentioned on today's episode, or to get a full transcript of the episode, visit hoorfpodcast.com. Join the blessed herd of St. Winkus. By signing up for our newsletter, you can get Hoorf episodes delivered directly to your inbox. What's more, you get invitations to our monthly Coffee and Biscuits Chat, where you get to hang out with Ricki and Elle, talk about the show, and connect on the topics that mean the most to you. You can sign up for that at hoorfpodcast.com. If you become a patron for only $3 a month, you can support the creation of this podcast, help pay my editor, and join a community of caregivers out here just doing our best. Thank you again for joining me, Elle Billing, the chronically ill queer femme who is very tired, on this episode of Hoorf. Until next time, be excellent to each other. Hoorf is hosted by Elle Billing at Ellen Wink. Audio editing by Ricki Cummings at Ricki Poo. Music composed by Ricki Cummings. Hoorf is a production of Ellen Wink Art Studio LLC, all rights reserved. Hoorf can be found on all social media platforms at Hoorf Podcast, at HOORF Podcast. Oh, and here comes my mother.